Escapecast. My name is Josh Garcia, and welcome to episode 1. The goal of this series is to discuss different pieces of literature and novels and discover how they connect with real life or how they escape from the fiction world and connect with our real world. The book that I will be discussing today will be 1984. After reading this book, it's become one of my favorite novels, and it does this because it doesn't just talk about topics that we're used to. It really goes into subjects and different topics that authors and the novels don't usually hit on, which was really, really interesting. I thought it would be easier if we just jump into the first theme and the main theme we'll be discussing today, which will be psychological manipulation. And psychological manipulation is a very interesting thing because it involves the act of someone actually changing how you think personally and imposing their own beliefs on you. So in the novel, psychological manipulation is very, very evident as the government in the novel 1984 want to control everything. And they do this because it's simpler to just kind of brainwash the whole society or to scare the whole society than it is to convince them, because they understand that if they were to try to convince every single one of the citizens to go by their way, it wouldn't work because people would just say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go my way. I want to do my way this way. So it becomes a very interesting topic of how psychological manipulation can actually happen and how it can affect everyone. George Orwell does a great job on actually demonstrating the psychological manipulation. And the government in the novel actually does this in 3 great ways. They are a powerful figure. Everyone is scared of Big Brother. So that's the first way they do this. No one wants to go against Big Brother because they're scared of him. The second is by always watching their citizens, always giving them the thought that they're always being watched. That even though it might not seem that they're being watched, there's a possibility that they are being watched. And thirdly, they do this by shutting down the communication. And what I mean by this is that in the novel, IGSOC, the government that runs everything, are creating a new language called Newspeak. Now that we know the 3 main points of psychological manipulation in the book 1984, we're going to kind of look at them quickly, and we're going to look at them how they connect with our world today. So the first one is we're going to talk about the fear of Big Brother, the control that the government has on all of its citizens. I'm not going to read many quotes. I just want to read one quote. And it's here in chapter 5. And it says, "If you want to hide a secret, you must also hide it from yourself." This quote is probably one of the strongest quotes in the book entirely. I did not mention it in my essay, but once I really looked at it, this quote is so powerful. The reason this quote is so powerful is because everybody has secrets. Everybody has a thought that when they first see someone or see something that they think. But when these secrets have to be hidden from yourself, that means that you can't even trust yourself to have these secrets, because by even thinking something, you're putting yourself at risk of getting in trouble or getting caught. So that quote right there shows how significant it is, how significant influence Big Brother has on all of its citizens, and how you can't even think a thought to yourself without thinking that you might be in danger of getting arrested, or getting caught by the thought police. Now today, even though we don't live in such a severe world as the world said in 1984, it still is pretty scary because there are many things that the government just doesn't tell us. There's many things that we really don't know. And that's where conspiracies start. There's so many conspiracies that many people think, oh, that's impossible. But at the same time, those conspiracies could be 100% possible. Some of these examples are the conspiracy of 9/11. The most popular example of the conspiracy being that President Bush and his government actually caused 9/11 and it wasn't a terrorist attack. Or the other examples of UFOs being seen or even recovered. There's countless reports of these, and every time it's just a hoax, but could it actually be true? We really don't know. And the second way it relates with our world today is cameras and security. In the book 1984, there was never a secure place where you could really just be to yourself. There's always telescreens looking at you. There was always people watching. There's never privacy. And our society today is getting to the point where we're going to lose our privacy. The reason I say that is because there's so many opportunities for anyone to be watching, not just the government. Whenever we walk down our streets, there's security cameras usually. On our computers, there's cameras. On our phones, there's cameras. Everywhere we go, it's almost as if we're being watched, and this society is starting to get to that point. I spoke about communication for a quick second at the start, but now we're really going to talk about it as one of the points. Psychological manipulation is very, very difficult to do, but the way you do it is by communication, by writing, by speaking. That's how people get it. They get the information, they hear it, or they read it, and then they start to believe it because it must be facts if it's being said by the strongest organization, the government. One way they did this was by double thinking. The biggest slogan: war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. This slogan is the most evident use of double thinking in the novel. War is peace is used today by our governments. United Nations, they've been known for this type of thinking that if in order to have peace, there has to be war. And that's the thinking that it is behind it. And it's a really, really sad way of thinking, but that's the way that the government uses those words, and they make us to think about it like, well, that has to make sense because that's the only way it will be possible. Well, in conclusion, after discussing the 3 points, the figure that Big Brother has, privacy being lost, and the loss of communication, which takes away the ability for us to express ourselves, it has really become evident that the psychological manipulation used in 1984 is becoming very evident in our lives today. And if we are not careful, we could be living in 1984. Well, that's all. And I'm logging off. Thank you, and this has been a great escape cast. Bye.